This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.
Attorney Isaac Buchanan in physical altercation with cop at court. Attorney Isaac Buchanan was reportedly in a physical altercation with a cop on the grounds of the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court at Halfway Tree on Monday. Reports are that there was a dispute between a civilian and a cop, and Buchanan somehow became embroiled in the altercation. Some eyewitness reports suggested that Buchanan was filming the incident with a cell phone, but others have denied that version of how he got into a physical encounter with a cop in which he was allegedly roughed up. When contacted on the incident, Buchanan issued a terse no comment. However, it appears that he will be seeking to get legal redress for the reported physical altercation. Westmoreland farmer dies after bike crashes into utility pole. 32-year-old Swayze Grayson, a farmer of Broughton District, Little London in Westmoreland, died from injuries he sustained in a vehicular crash on the Broughton Main Road in the parish on Sunday, February 28. Reports from the Little London police are that about 2:40 p.m., Grayson was driving his motorcycle along the roadway when he crashed into a utility pole and was thrown from the cycle. The police were summoned and he was taken to a hospital where he later succumbed to his injuries. An investigation of the incident is ongoing. St. Andrew men charged following gun seizure. 25-year-old delivery man Shaniel Wimps, otherwise called Sean, and 21-year-old Kasif Bennett, otherwise called Jervis, both of Ambrook Lane, Halfway Tree, St. Andrew, have been charged with illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. They were charged last Thursday. Their court date is being finalized. The police report that about 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, February 16, a joint police-military operation was conducted at the home of Wimps and Bennett, and a Beretta pistol with a magazine containing 15 rounds of ammunition was seized. Jamaican woman in Bahamas charged with murder. The police in the Bahamas have charged a Jamaican woman with murder arising from a stabbing incident. Nadisha Beckford, 33, is charged with the February 20 murder of Lakeisha McKee. The police in the Bahamas say they were called to the scene of a stabbing incident on West Bay Street. Preliminary reports revealed that both women got into an argument in the parking lot, resulting in McKee being stabbed multiple times. Beckford was not required to enter a plea and bail was denied. She was remanded in the Bahamas Department of Corrections until June 16. Man charged with shop breaking and larceny. The Christiana police have arrested and charged 44-year-old Wayne Tomlinson with shop breaking and larceny. The police say the charges stemmed from an incident on Main Street in Mandeville, Manchester on Wednesday, November 2, 2016. The police report that he broke into a business place and stole several items before escaping. Following investigations, Tomlinson was apprehended and charged after a question and answer interview. His court date is being finalized. Government considers allowing some quick service industries to open during curfew hours. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a cabinet subcommittee is working with the Private Sector Association of Jamaica to develop a model through which the quick service industry may be able to operate during curfew hours. Speaking yesterday at a media briefing to update the country on changes made to the Disaster Risk Management Act, Holness noted that businesses have found innovative ways to serve the public through the growth of the delivery economy. This, he said, is evidenced by the emergence of several online malls and food delivery apps. I had a presentation from the PSOJ a few nights ago which showed how delivery could be done. So we have a subcommittee of cabinet looking at how we could implement it. We have agreed that we will test it in a geographical area. As soon as those details are refined, we will bring the solution to the country. This, the Prime Minister also stated, is the government's attempt to keep production going during the curfew hours. The Prime Minister said in doing a balancing act of controlling the spread of the virus and maintaining production, we recognize businesses in the quick service industry, such as restaurants, are finding it very difficult. I note that the restaurant industry does not only include established stores, but also small businesses like the Pan Chicken Man on Red Hills Road, in Ligoni and in Olympic Way. They are part of that quick service industry. Holness noted that the quick service industry employs a significant number of Jamaicans and contributes to the income of many households. He also added that with the curfew in place, the loss of income in the sector is significant. Meanwhile, Holness underscored that the government and the PSOJ are working to ensure that the agreed model is inclusive and open to all, including the pan-chicken vendor. It is not beyond the government to find solutions to the emergence of the delivery economy as businesses migrate online. The question for the government is how we facilitate delivery during curfew hours. Many issues would have to be resolved, like the question of equity and how do we facilitate the pan-chicken man. In the meantime, the government also plans to make some consideration for the sports industry. Holness added, "We would like to see the resumption of sporting activities, but we would want to see it done safely. We observed that the various sporting associations are coming on board with plans, but now it would be inconsistent with the challenges that we face if we were to approve. We will still consider them and work with them to ensure that we refine the arrangements, and as soon as we are out of this danger zone, we can start to look at how we can get the sporting sector back up and running." Holness also thanked the sporting sector for their patience as the government works strategically to put measures in place to revamp the industry. Church views new restrictions with suspicion. Members of the clergy in Western Jamaica say the disparity in the most recent COVID-19 containment measures announced on Sunday by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, covering weddings, funerals, and church services, leaves room for suspicion. Calling for greater clarity into the reasoning behind the restrictions, the church leaders questioned the rationale behind limiting churches to online services with no more than 10 persons gathered to facilitate streaming, and halting funerals while allowing weddings to proceed with a 25-person limit. Funeral services and burials, which were already scheduled for up to March 8, will be allowed to take place. Reacting to the announcement, Pastor Glenroy Clark of the Lucy United Church in Hanover said the disparity presents an untidy situation. "I look forward to more information because right now there is ambiguity as to why you allow weddings with 25 people but no funerals at all and no church service. I support scaling down, but the context of ambiguity brings about a culture of suspicion and doubt. You can put off your wedding and you do not have to have a big wedding, as the two of you can come to me with 2 witnesses and get married, but you do not choose to die. When you have weddings with 25 people, but you cannot have prayer meetings or worship services with even 20 persons, and you cannot have funeral services at all, then I have a challenge as to the rationale and the reason," added Clark. Pastor Glenn Samuels, president of the St. James-based West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, was of the same mind. "The furthest in terms of the time for night services is an hour and a half, and most weddings go for longer than that. If you are going to allow 25 people for a wedding, why not allow the same 25 people for a church service and challenge them to abide by the law or whatever protocol you are putting in place for the wedding?" asked Samuels. Westmoreland Custos Reverend Hartsley Perrin, who is a pastor of the Petersfield-based St. Peter's Anglican Church, said that the Prime Minister's announcement will put undue pressure on the church community, especially those not equipped to engage streaming services. "If it is that you respect the church, and the church has been doing significantly well in terms of observing the relevant protocols, why put more pressure on the church? When he speaks about 10 persons in church for streaming, what of those churches that do not have the facilities in terms of the internet or the technicalities that are required for such streaming to take place? I interpret it to mean we need to close our doors," said Perrin. Full speed ahead with CXC. June date for first sitting, second paper is back. Education ministers across the region have given unanimous approval for the Caribbean Examinations Council to conduct its 2021 sitting despite the COVID-19 pandemic, which has shuttered some schools for months. It was a unanimous decision of the ministers, according to Dr. Douglas Slater, Assistant Secretary General of Human and Social Development of the Caribbean Community Secretariat, responding to news queries following a presentation on Monday. The exams are to begin on June 14 14 and end on July 16. Unlike the last sitting, each candidate will have to sit at least 2 papers. The CXC will, however, still conduct its 100% moderation of school-based assessments. In defending the decision to move ahead with the exams, CXC Registrar Dr. Wayne Wesley said the regional body did not want to disenfranchise those who were ready to sit the exam. When asked whether the CXC had independently verified from health ministries that it was safe to administer the exams, the registrar said they relied on national level consultation. From that national consultation, the relevant stakeholders would have been consulted, and it is from that perspective recommendations would have made to the Caribbean Examinations Council from the respective territories on their national position. So from that standpoint, I would expect that all relevant stakeholders would have been consulted, Wesley said. On Sunday, the Jamaican government tightened COVID-19 containment measures as the positivity rate among samples continued to soar. Students from schools approved to conduct face-to-face classes for grades 6, 11, 12, or 13 will be allowed to continue in that modality. President of the Association of Principals and Vice Principals, Lindvern Wright, believes that the CXC has been too inflexible in the pandemic. CXC has not really made any adjustment for COVID. If CXC had really wanted to really cater to students, one of the things they could do is to have rolling exams. So they could have one in November, one in January, one in April, and so on, Wright told the news on Monday. The CXC also disclosed that candidates who have paid for their exams but encounter difficulty could sit the test within 1 year and the SBA grades would be retained for the period. As at Monday, more than 500,000 subject entries have been made with the CXC for the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate from some 102,000 candidates and approximately 107,000 for CAPE from approximately 27,000 candidates. In relation to the number of persons registering year on year, there will be a slight reduction, and it is just akin to the reduction in the birth rate right across the region for the period, and we have recognized that as a trend, said Wesley, who is based at the CXC's headquarters in Barbados. At last year's sitting, some complained bitterly about the grades that were returned by CXC. The complaints prompted a review. The CXC received 21,450 requests for reviews, and to date, for CSEC, approximately 92% have been reviewed. For CAPE, 93% of the requested were reviewed. Despite the uproar last year over the quality of the grades awarded to candidates, only a minuscule number had their grades changed. This was revealed by Dr. Nicole Manning, Director of Operations of CXC. We have no grade diminution for any candidate who would have requested review. In relation to positive grade changes for CAPE, of the 9,118 completed, we would have made 1.7% positive grade changes, and for CSEC, 0.54%, she said. In cases where candidates proffered hardship as a mitigating factor, there was a 8.28% positive grade change for CAPE and a 9.38% for CSEC.
Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.